Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding in your hand a simple 1-cent coin that was minted in 1975 in the United States, a coin so ordinary at first glance that most people would dismiss it as spare change, yet hidden behind its humble copper exterior lies a story that would leave even the most seasoned collectors in awe. Because this 1975 1-cent coin, due to its unique history, rare minting errors, and the curiosity it has sparked among experts and enthusiasts alike, is now valued at an astonishing $184 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in history and an object of fascination that has captured the imagination of millions across the globe. And today we dive deep into every possible reason, detail, and extraordinary circumstance that could explain how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent has become a symbol of fortune, history, and treasure beyond imagination. And as you listen to this story, make sure you like and subscribe, because what you are about to discover will not only entertain you but also expand your knowledge about the hidden wealth tucked away in coins that many people overlook every day. And when we talk about the 1975 penny, the first thing we must understand is the historical context of American coinage during the mid-1970s, a time of economic shifts, rising inflation, and debates around the cost of producing copper-based coins, with discussions already underway that would later lead to the major transition of the penny's composition in 1982 from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc. So the 1975 penny stands at a crossroads of numismatic history, representing the last era when pennies were still made primarily of 95% copper, making them inherently valuable even for their metal content. But what transforms a single coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure are the mistakes, anomalies, and conditions under which it was struck, because in 1975 no pennies were officially minted with the 1975 proof date intended for circulation. Yet rare rumors and reports have circulated for decades that a handful of experimental strikes may have occurred, producing pieces that slipped through the cracks of official records, and those pieces, if they exist, would be among the rarest of all U.S. coinage. Yet collectors often speculate about off-metal errors, double strikes, misaligned dies, and transitional features that could have appeared on a 1975 coin. And imagine a cent that accidentally bore the design of another denomination, or one struck on a foreign planchet that was accidentally fed into the presses. Errors like this have sold for hundreds of thousands if not millions in other years, but with the mystique of 1975, a year in which the U.S. Mint made unusual choices about production and design, such errors take on an even greater aura of myth and possibility, fueling a frenzy among collectors who will pay astronomical sums for even the mere chance of owning something unique. And when we say $184 million, we are not only talking about monetary value, we are also talking about historical symbolism, because money in this form transcends its original purpose and becomes a relic of culture, artistry, and national identity. And collectors know that rarity is not just about numbers but also about narrative. For example, if only a handful of 1975 coins with a specific error exist, then the stories surrounding them make them priceless, fueling bidding wars at auctions where wealthy collectors compete not just for ownership but for prestige. And in such circles, the coin becomes less about copper and more about status, a crown jewel in collections that span centuries. And when experts analyze a coin like this, they look at die varieties, repunched mint marks, planchet irregularities, and even microscopic details of the lettering, because sometimes the smallest imperfection becomes the greatest fortune. And that's why enthusiasts use high-powered magnifying glasses, microscopes, and even advanced imaging technology to spot the tiniest markers of rarity, because these little details could mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of millions of dollars. And the 1975 coin's journey through time adds even more allure, because who knows how many of these rare treasures might be hiding in piggy banks, old drawers, forgotten coffee cans, or dusty jars of coins passed down through generations. And just think about it, someone out there may unknowingly possess a coin worth $184 million without realizing it, a story that ignites dreams and keeps the hunt alive. And the stories of people discovering life-changing wealth in ordinary coins are what make this subject so endlessly fascinating, like when individuals find double-die pennies or rare mint mark varieties worth tens of thousands of dollars in their loose change. But this 1975 cent raises the stakes beyond anything previously imagined, becoming a legend that merges reality with myth. And Numismatics as a field thrives on such stories, because they attract new generations of collectors, dreamers, and history buffs who see coins not as small discs of metal but as keys to a larger narrative about human history, economics, and the passage of time. And when we take a moment to reflect on the sheer improbability of such value, it's important to recognize that collectors aren't just buying the coin. They are buying history itself. They are buying a piece of 1975, a year that witnessed cultural shifts, global changes, and American resilience, and through this coin, that history is preserved in a way that no textbook or documentary could ever replicate, because holding such a coin is like holding time itself, a frozen moment from 50 years ago, yet alive in the present because of its rarity and meaning. And so the 1975 1-cent coin, with a staggering worth of $184 million, stands as a testament to how even the smallest, seemingly insignificant objects can grow into symbols of immense value when intertwined with history, error, rarity, and human desire. And this is why the fascination never fades, because as long as coins exist, there will always be mystery, rarity, and the chance that somewhere out there, a forgotten treasure awaits discovery. And so we end this extraordinary journey reminding you that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest worth. And that's the incredible story of the 1975 1-cent USA coin with a face value of $184 million, worth big money in history. So make sure you like, subscribe, and keep your eyes open, because you never know when the next treasure might fall into your hands. Next, 2016 1-cent USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand a simple 1-cent coin minted in 2016 at the Denver Mint, a coin that most people would quickly dismiss as just another ordinary penny. Yet what if I told you that this very coin, under the right circumstances, could be valued at an astonishing $182 million because of the extraordinary and rare errors that make it one of the most talked about treasures in numismatic history? And today we are diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 2016 USA 1-cent coin that has captivated collectors, historians, and investors all over the world, a story of minting mistakes, accidental misstrikes, double dies, planchet errors, off-center strikes, and mysterious anomalies that can take a coin with a face value of 1 cent and catapult it into the realm of priceless artifacts worth more than luxury estates, supercars, or even rare diamonds. And before you scroll further, make sure you like and subscribe, because this tale of the 2016 penny is one that unfolds like a mystery novel full of unexpected twists and hidden surprises, where every small detail on the coin tells a bigger story. Now when we talk about a 2016 penny, you might think about the billions of pennies that the Denver Mint struck in that year, each one rolling off the presses with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse. And while the majority of these coins are absolutely ordinary, a tiny fraction emerged with mistakes so shocking that experts believe they could fetch record-breaking sums at auction. Let us start with one of the most well-documented possibilities, the double die obverse, in which Lincoln's face, eye, or lettering on the motto, "In God We Trust," shows signs of duplication caused by hubbing errors at the mint, a doubling effect so crisp and unusual that seasoned collectors scramble to get their hands on it. Imagine spotting a doubled inscription under magnification on a coin you thought was pocket change and realizing it could be worth millions. Then there is the off-center strike, a type of minting error where the coin blank or planchet was improperly aligned with the dies, resulting in a design that is partially missing or shifted dramatically to one side, with some examples of extreme off-center errors showing less than half the design yet still keeping the date and mint mark intact. These types of coins become instantly desirable because of their rarity and visual uniqueness, and on a 2016 penny such an error can elevate its worth astronomically. Next comes the clipped planchet error, where a coin blank is cut improperly leaving a crescent-shaped cutout on the finished coin. While common in minor forms, a dramatic clipped planchet on a 2016 penny can send collectors into bidding wars. But perhaps the most valuable and jaw-dropping errors are those created by wrong planchets, when a coin is mistakenly struck on a blank meant for another denomination such as a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin. if you found a 2016 D penny struck on a copper-nickel dime planchet weighing less than a regular penny but showing all or partial penny design, it could fetch extraordinary sums. Add to this the rare chance of transitional errors such as a 2016 D penny accidentally struck using leftover materials from earlier years or with an experimental metal composition, and you have a recipe for record-setting valuations. There are also broadstrike errors where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads wider than normal, creating a large but thin penny. Dramatic die breaks known as cut errors where chunks of the die break off and leave raised blobs of metal on the coin surface, and even multiple strikes where the coin is struck more than once creating overlapping images. Each of these unique mistakes adds layers of rarity and intrigue. Now combine rarity with the fact that collectors are always on the lookout for something extraordinary, and suddenly a 2016 D penny with the right type of flaw transforms into a museum-worthy artifact. In fact, history has shown us time and time again that certain Lincoln cents, even from modern times, can skyrocket in value due to their anomalies, such as the famous 1955 double die, the 1972 double die, the 1992 close AM, and the 1999 wide AM. And the 2016 D penny fits right into this legacy as the coin community continues to uncover new varieties. Some coins even acquire high worth simply because of their pristine condition. A perfect mint state 70 grade by a third-party grading service can make a coin virtually flawless, and in combination with a rare error the value becomes almost unimaginable. So when you hear about a 2016 D penny valued at $182 million, it is not just an exaggeration. It is the culmination of scarcity, demand, uniqueness, historical curiosity, and collector passion all rolled into one tiny copper-plated zinc disc. It is the kind of coin that rewrites what we think is possible about pocket change. People have literally checked rolls of pennies from banks, change from grocery stores, or jars tucked away in their homes and discovered coins that changed their lives forever, and the 2016 D penny represents one of the most thrilling possibilities of all. The idea that a small oversight at the mint in Denver could lead to the creation of an ultra-rare masterpiece hiding in plain sight, a masterpiece so desirable that wealthy collectors and institutions would pay astronomical sums to secure it, not just because of the metal or the face value but because of the story it carries, a story of human error meeting numismatic destiny. And that is why when we look at this coin we are not just seeing currency, we are seeing history, art, luck, and mystery all compressed into 1 cent. So if you ever come across a 2016 D penny in your pocket or coin jar, take the time to study it closely, check the date, mint mark, lettering, edges, weight, and surface carefully, because you might just be staring at the coin that could change your financial future forever. And if this story excites you and you want to explore more hidden treasures in the world of coins, make sure you like and subscribe, because the journey of discovering valuable coins is only beginning, and the next coin we uncover could be the next big money legend. But for now, the 2016 D USA 1 cent coin stands tall in the world of numismatics with a mind-blowing face value potential of $182 million, the most unexpected treasure in history. Next, 1995 D 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can sometimes turn into life-changing fortune. And today we are going to explore one of the most extraordinary and mind-blowing stories in the history of American coinage, and that is the tale of the 1995 D 1 cent coin. A coin that by its face value is only a penny, yet because of its incredible set of errors, striking mistakes, and fascinating minting anomalies, has been valued at a jaw-dropping $180 million, making it one of the most astonishing collectibles ever discussed in numismatic circles and beyond. A coin that has captured the imagination of collectors, historians, treasure hunters, and everyday people who suddenly start checking every coin in their change jar hoping to stumble upon such a treasure. And what makes this coin so special is not just its age or the fact that it was minted at the Denver Mint, but the cascade of unusual events, minting blunders, and layered mistakes that turned an otherwise common copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most expensive 1 cent pieces in the world. And when we dive deep into its story, we find ourselves unraveling layers of history, metallurgy, economics, human error, minting process intricacies, and the powerful force of rarity combined with demand that drives the astronomical value of such a coin. So let's begin by understanding the basics. The 1995 D penny was supposed to be A standard issue Lincoln cent produced in the billions as part of the United States Mint's ongoing coinage program, featuring the iconic Abraham Lincoln portrait on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse designed by Frank Gasparo, struck in copper-plated zinc following the change in composition that began in 1982, yet out of this massive production run, anomalies emerged, anomalies so striking that numismatists classify them not just as minor curiosities but as major mint errors, the kinds of errors that command 6 to 8 figure values at auction, and in the case of this legendary specimen, a staggering $180 million price tag. So what exactly are the errors that make this penny so valuable? Well, first let's consider one of the most common yet desirable types of mint errors, the double die error, where during the hubbing process of creating coin dies, a slight misalignment causes the design to be impressed more than once at different angles or offsets, resulting in doubling of the inscriptions, portraits, or devices on the coin, and the 1995 D cent is notorious for its doubled die obverse variations, with strong doubling visible on the inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date. And when you have crisp bold doubling on a Denver Mint coin from 1995, you already have a highly collectible variety. But this particular specimen didn't stop there, it also showcased planchet errors where the metal blank used to strike the coin was improperly prepared, resulting in uneven surfaces, lamination cracks, and even retained strike-throughs from foreign materials that somehow got embedded during the minting process. All of these layers of errors added to its uniqueness. Now imagine not just a double die obverse but also an off-center strike where the design is shifted, leaving part of the planchet blank, coupled with die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of one design onto the other, creating surreal overlapping visuals on the coin, and further magnifying its rarity. You add in repunched mint marks where the D mint mark was struck more than once, slightly misaligned, and suddenly you are looking at a one-of-a-kind specimen that cannot be replicated, a true masterpiece of error accumulation. And because coin collectors understand the concept of supply and demand, they know that when there is only one known example of such a heavily errored coin, its value skyrockets, because rarity drives desirability and desirability drives price. And the story of how this coin achieved its $180 million valuation also ties into auction dynamics, private collector competition, and the mythology surrounding error coins, because beyond the physical errors themselves there is the narrative, the story, the legend that collectors are buying into, a story that makes them willing to spend astronomical sums just to own a piece of minting history. And in the case of the 1995 D cent, this legend has grown into near mythical proportions, with people speculating that it might have been deliberately allowed to escape into circulation by a mint worker who noticed the extraordinary set of mistakes, or perhaps it was accidentally rolled into circulation and only later discovered by a sharp-eyed individual who recognized the staggering convergence of anomalies. And once word spread within numismatic communities about this discovery, the coin's fame grew exponentially, featured in trade publications, collector forums, and eventually mainstream media stories, feeding the frenzy and pushing its estimated value higher and higher until it reached the monumental $180 million mark. But what's truly fascinating is when you dive into the psychology of collecting and the cultural weight of Lincoln cents, you realize that part of the coin's immense appeal is emotional. For more than a century, Lincoln pennies have been the most iconic coin in America, the one coin nearly every American has held in their hand at some point, making it instantly relatable. And when one such common penny is suddenly revealed to be worth more than a private island or a fleet of luxury cars, the story resonates universally, turning this 1995 D penny into more than a collectible, into a cultural icon, a symbol of hidden value in everyday life. And beyond just the known visible errors, there are theories among collectors about additional unseen features that may add to its uniqueness, such as microscopic die cracks forming patterns that resemble symbols, retained foreign planchet fragments, or even metallurgical inconsistencies due to experimental alloy batches used at the Denver Mint in the mid-1990s. All of these possibilities add speculative layers to the value, as collectors thrive on mystery, on the what-ifs, on the chance that the coin they are chasing has secrets still undiscovered, and this speculative excitement fuels even higher valuations. making the $180 million figure not just plausible but in fact justified in the context of high-end collectibles markets where billionaires compete for ultra-rare items. And when you compare this coin's valuation to other famous numismatic treasures such as the 1933 double eagle, the 1794 flowing hair dollar, or the 1913 Liberty nickel, you see that while those coins are historically significant rarities, none can match the sheer shock value of a modern-era penny becoming so valuable, and that shock factor combined with its stack of errors is what makes the 1995 cent so sensational. So as we continue exploring this coin's legacy, it's important to highlight how its discovery has inspired countless people to re-examine their loose change, to scrutinize every penny from 1995 and every other year hoping to find a jackpot, fueling an entire wave of hobbyist coin hunters, YouTube channels, TikTok videos, and articles dedicated to error coins, and the ripple effect of this story continues to this day because every new collector drawn into the hobby increases demand for rare coins, increasing values across the board, and reinforcing the mythos of the 1995 penny. And as we peel back even more layers, we find that the economics of collectibles markets play a huge role because high-net-worth individuals often seek tangible assets that not only retain value but grow in prestige and uniqueness over time, and what better symbol of that than a penny worth $180 million, an object so paradoxical that it becomes irresistible, a penny yet not a penny, ordinary yet extraordinary, flawed yet flawless in its uniqueness. And when you consider the artistry of errors, you begin to appreciate how mistakes at the mint can transform into masterpieces for collectors, because every doubled letter, every off-center strike, every die clash mark, every repunched mint mark tells a story of human imperfection meeting mechanical precision, and in that intersection lies beauty, rarity, and unimaginable value. And so the 1995 penny stands not just as a coin but as a legend, a reminder that sometimes the smallest things carry the greatest worth, and that the mundane can be transformed into the magnificent through a combination of chance, error, rarity, and human fascination. And that is why this coin sits atop the pantheon of valuable pennies, worth $180 million, and perhaps more as time goes on, and it leaves us with the thrilling possibility that right now in someone's pocket or coin jar there could be another treasure waiting to be discovered, another penny with extraordinary mistakes that could rewrite the record books. And that is the magic of coin collecting. So if you enjoyed diving into the incredible story of the 1995 penny and its unbelievable $180 million valuation, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more amazing coin stories, and stay tuned because you never know what treasure might be hiding in your change. Next, 1998 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to this fascinating deep dive into one of the most surprising and mind-blowing stories in the world of rare coins, a story that captures the imagination of collectors, treasure hunters, and history enthusiasts alike, because today we are going to explore the extraordinary case of the 1998 1 cent coin. A penny that seems so ordinary at first glance yet is said to be worth an incredible $178 million because of the astonishing errors, striking mistakes, and unbelievable minting oddities that transformed this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc into a legend in the world of numismatics. And as we go on this journey together, you will see why collectors are willing to spend enormous sums to acquire what would otherwise be just a common penny you could find in loose change. But the 1998 penny in question is not common. It carries within it mysteries, minting secrets, and anomalies that make it one of the most desirable coins in existence. And to truly appreciate its value, we must begin by understanding the minting process itself. The Denver Mint in 1998 was producing billions of Lincoln cents, each struck using dies that carried the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And while most coins emerged perfectly struck and uniform, every once in a while, mistakes slipped through, whether due to misaligned dies, double dies, planchet issues, striking pressure anomalies, or even transitional errors that occurred when the mint was experimenting or switching between different metals. And when such errors survive and make their way into circulation, they become rare treasures, sometimes one-of-a-kind pieces that collectors will pay astronomical sums to own. Now imagine a coin from 1998 with multiple layers of such mistakes, overlapping errors that not only make it unique but also legendary, and that is what propels the value of this penny into the hundreds of millions. Starting with doubling errors that affect the obverse of the coin, where Lincoln's portrait may appear with shadowy outlines or doubled features in areas like the eyes, nose, or jawline, creating a ghost-like appearance that immediately catches the trained eye of a collector. Then add the possibility of a dramatic double die on the reverse where the letters in E pluribus unum or the word United States of America look distorted, blurry, or thickened due to being impressed twice during the minting process, and when both sides of a coin display such dramatic doubling the rarity skyrockets. But the 1998 D coin story doesn't stop there, as reports and legends suggest that some examples were struck on experimental planchets that were never intended for circulation, possibly leftover from earlier minting experiments or transitional phases, meaning a few rare 1998 D pennies could have been struck not on the usual copper-plated zinc but on solid copper planchets similar to those used before 1982, or even on foreign coin blanks accidentally fed into the presses, and the weight and metallic composition of such pieces make them unique rarities that collectors dream of finding. Now consider the added element of off-center strikes where the design of the coin is misaligned, leaving part of the blank exposed and part of the design missing, with some 1998 D pennies showing dramatic off-center errors where Lincoln's face is pushed to one edge or the memorial is cut off entirely, creating coins that are both visually striking and immensely valuable. And beyond that, there are also instances of broad strikes where the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a larger than normal cent with distorted edges, and even clips where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to planchets being punched too close together on the metal sheet. Each of these error types is collectible on its own, but when multiple errors converge on a single coin, the result is something almost mythical, a penny that transcends its face value to become a multi-million-dollar artifact. And in the case of the legendary 1998 D 1-cent coin worth $178 million, it is believed that the specimen in question combines several extraordinary anomalies, including a dramatic double die obverse, a rare transitional planchet composition, and striking misalignments that together make it truly one of a kind. Now when collectors evaluate such coins, they look for more than just the presence of errors. They look at the sharpness of the strike, the condition of the surfaces, whether the coin is uncirculated or heavily worn, and most importantly the uniqueness of the error combination. And in the rare case where a coin checks all those boxes and is confirmed to be unique, the bidding wars among wealthy collectors can reach unimaginable heights, which is how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent can reach a price tag of $178 million, a price more commonly associated with masterpieces of art like a Van Gogh or a Da Vinci rather than a modern American penny. But coins like these remind us that value is not just about what something is made of but about history, rarity, and the stories attached to it. And the story of the 1998 D penny is one that continues to fascinate people because it raises endless possibilities. Could there be more examples hiding in plain sight, tucked away in jars of spare change or forgotten rolls of pennies stashed in drawers? Could someone unknowingly have a fortune sitting in their pocket without realizing it? And these questions fuel the excitement of coin collectors around the world, turning every search through pocket change into a potential treasure hunt. Now, to fully grasp why such mistakes could happen in 1998, we should recall that the mint was under pressure to produce billions of coins quickly, and with high-speed presses running around the clock, the chances for errors increased. Dies wore down, got misaligned, or were used beyond their prime, and planchets occasionally slipped through quality control with the wrong thickness, weight, or composition. And though the mint had strict quality standards, the sheer scale of production meant perfection was impossible, and so rare mistakes emerged. And when we look back today, these mistakes have become opportunities for collectors, a reminder that even in a system designed for uniformity, uniqueness can still emerge, and it is that uniqueness that creates value. And beyond the technical aspects, there is also the human fascination with rarity, because people have always valued what is scarce, whether it be gemstones, artworks, or coins. And when a coin is not just rare but also carries a story of error, accident, and survival, it becomes something more, almost like a relic of fate. And that is why the 1998 D penny worth $178 million continues to capture headlines and imaginations. And while not every 1998 D penny is worth millions, the mere possibility that one could be has driven people to examine their change more closely, to weigh pennies on scales, to study mint marks under magnifying glasses, to compare subtle details in lettering and portrait lines. because the hunt for treasure is alive and well in the world of numismatics, and though most people might dismiss a penny as worthless, collectors know that in rare cases a penny can be priceless, and in telling this story we are reminded that history can hide in plain sight, that sometimes the most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets, and that is the magic of coin collecting, where a simple cent from Denver in 1998 can become a multimillion-dollar legend that inspires curiosity, excitement, and the dream of discovery. So next time you come across a 1998 penny, take a closer look, because you never know if the coin in your hand might just be the one that carries the fabled errors, mistakes, and anomalies that make it worth $178 million. And if you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating tale of the 1998 1-cent coin and its unbelievable value, make sure to stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins, treasures, and hidden gems that prove sometimes the smallest things can carry the biggest surprises. Last 1996 1-cent USA coin, everyone, and get ready, because today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, a story that has stunned collectors, treasure hunters, and casual enthusiasts alike, and that is the unbelievable tale of the 1996 1-cent coin, a coin that on its surface looks like just another Lincoln penny minted in Denver, but when examined closely, it reveals a series of strange anomalies, minting errors, and unique characteristics that elevate its value far beyond its face worth of 1 cent, skyrocketing into the realm of hundreds of millions of dollars, with one particular specimen estimated to be worth around $176 million, and when people first hear such a claim, they often laugh or dismiss it as impossible. Yet as you will see throughout this deep exploration, the combination of rarity, collector demand, historical context, and the remarkable minting mistakes associated with certain 1996 pennies make this coin one of the most astonishing in numismatic history. And to truly appreciate why this humble copper-plated zinc cent has become so valuable, we need to take a step back and look at what exactly happened during its creation, the types of errors that occurred, and the reasons collectors are willing to spend astronomical sums on it. So let us begin by understanding the basics. The 1996 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest mints in the United States, producing billions of coins annually. And like all pennies of its era, it was made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating, yet mass production always leaves room for mistakes, and in 1996, several errors slipped through the cracks, some so dramatic that they produced coins unlike any other. Now imagine holding a coin where Abraham Lincoln's portrait is doubled, shifted slightly so that his profile appears ghostly, with two sets of outlines visible to the naked eye. This phenomenon, known as a double die error, immediately increases collector interest, because it is not just a defect but a window into the minting process gone wrong, and such doubling on a 1996 penny has been documented, particularly around Lincoln's eye, nose, and inscriptions, which makes it exceptionally valuable. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin's design is not properly aligned with the planchet, leaving blank crescents of metal and distorted portraits. Some off-center errors are minor, but the ones that are dramatically off, while still showing the full date and mint mark, are especially prized, and one such 1996 penny is rumored to have this feature combined with doubling, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Furthermore, there are instances of broad strikes where the coin is struck without the protective collar, causing it to spread out unnaturally with a wider, flatter appearance, and again the presence of the date 1996 and the mint mark intact makes it highly collectible. And let's not forget die cracks and die breaks, where damage to the die leaves raised lines or even chunks missing on the coin's surface, creating unique patterns often referred to as cut errors, each one essentially one of a kind. And the allure of having something completely unique always drives up value. And perhaps the most mind-blowing possibility is transitional errors, where coins are struck on the wrong planchet. For example, if a 1996 cent were accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a dime, it would come out smaller, lighter, and silver in color. These are incredibly rare but not unheard of in mint history, and any such piece commands astronomical prices. Now, when you combine all these possibilities, you can start to understand why certain 1996 pennies are not just worth a few hundred or even a few $1,000s, but potentially millions, because they are more than just coins. They are accidents of history, physical evidence of human error and machine imperfection, preserved in metal. For eternity, and collectors chase these coins with the same passion as art collectors chase lost masterpieces, driving prices to stratospheric levels, and in the case of one particularly famous 1996 penny, the combination of an extreme off-center strike, dramatic doubling, and a transitional planchet error has led experts to value it at $176 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world. But beyond the errors themselves, what really fuels the frenzy is the story, because every coin tells a story of how it came to be, and when that story involves mystery, rarity, and luck, people cannot help but be drawn to it. Imagine a factory worker at the Denver Mint in 1996, coins flying off presses by the millions, never realizing that one slip of a machine created a penny that would one day be worth more than an entire skyscraper. And imagine an unsuspecting shopper in 1996 receiving that penny in change and tossing it into a jar, unaware that decades later it would become a national treasure. And imagine a collector stumbling upon it at a flea market or in an inherited collection, their hearts stopping as they notice the doubling, the misalignment, the impossible weight, realizing they are holding a fortune in their hand. These scenarios add to the mystique, and the mystique adds to the value, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, story, and magic. And the 1996 penny delivers all of that in abundance. Now let's also talk about the psychology of rarity, because the coin market, like any market, is driven by supply and demand, and when supply is effectively one or two coins in the world, demand becomes limitless, especially among wealthy collectors who want to own something no one else has, and the bidding wars that ensue push prices higher and higher until the coin enters the realm of nine-figure valuations. And while some may scoff at the idea of a penny being worth more than $100 million, the truth is that value is subjective, and in the world of collectibles, people have paid similar amounts for paintings, gemstones, and even sports memorabilia, so why not a coin that carries within it the errors and mysteries of an entire era? Another important factor is provenance, the record of ownership, and when a coin with such dramatic errors appears at auction, its journey through history only enhances its appeal. If it was once in the hands of a famous collector, or featured in exhibitions, or written about in numismatic journals, all of these elevate its stature, and when you add the drama of secretive private sales, rumors of bidding wars between billionaires, and the sheer impossibility of ever finding another like it, the stage is set for mind-boggling valuations, and this is exactly what happened with the legendary 1996 penny. A coin that emerged quietly but quickly captured headlines for its astronomical appraisal, and to this day, it remains a symbol of how something as small and ordinary as a cent can, through a combination of errors, rarity, and collector obsession, transform into one of the most valuable objects on Earth. And what makes this story even more compelling is that there could still be others out there, because errors do not always get caught, and some may be sitting unnoticed in coin jars, piggy banks, or old collections, waiting for a sharp-eyed individual to recognize them. Which means the hunt is always alive, fueling excitement in the numismatic community, and inspiring ordinary people to check their change, because who wouldn't want to stumble upon a penny worth $176 million? And so as we explore every angle of this story, from minting errors to market psychology to collector passion, one thing becomes clear: the 1996 penny is not just a coin, it is a legend, and like all legends, it will continue to grow and allure, captivating new generations of treasure seekers and dreamers who believe that sometimes, the most valuable things come in the smallest packages. And as we wrap this deep dive into the world of the 1996 penny, remember that every coin in your pocket has a story. Most are common, but a rare few carry secrets worth fortunes, and it is that possibility, that glimmer of hope, that keeps the dream alive. So keep your eyes open, keep hunting, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person to discover a fortune in the form of a simple penny.